Evening, folks. Sorry for the delay, but by now, if we're not late, it's not SKL. That's just how it is. And we're here at yet another season finale. Um,
Hmm.
the shtick is,
Mm-hmm.
we could have done it for next week, but because Sir Stephen and Raiden brought up that they're likely to spend Christmas Eve with friends and family and what have you, it's like, okay, we'll bring it forward a week. Oh, Raiden's icons just changed. He's letting me know what's happening. Hopefully he's joining us.
Bear, bear with us
Mm-hmm.
a minute or so, folks.
He will be with us shortly.
Hooray!
Yay!
Alright. But anyway, I really should be advertising this throughout the Discordiverse and what have you. But we're not in the Oniverse where Abraham Mateus Rakaku is ruling the world with an iron fist, and in Universe 512, Robert Malcolm Rakaku is serving Queen Kitsune Rakaku. It's like, oh, I'm a queen now. Yes. I like this. I like
Okay.
this. I like this. And what am I, Universe 101? Oh, you're Triple H's road agent. I'm the what now? He's gonna hear this later. It's like, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him.
Oh, we got, I think, Dan in the comments. He wants to know what he thinks about the permadeath of E3. Because
Well,
that's one thing that's no longer happening anymore now.
Yep.
um,
I'm gonna be
Hi,
honest with
Raiden.
you. eh,
Hello.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. I mean, after
Mm.
Nintendo left, Sony left. E3 was, in a sense, on its last legs, even in 2019, and when the pandemic, when I cannot speak today, when the pandemic came in, yeah, end game already. Also, I mean, you have Super Games Fest and now the Game Awards, so now
The
those are
Game
the two
Awards as well
big,
as
yeah.
it is what it is, folks. Hey, Red.
You.
Alright, just doing promotions and what have you. Right. Announcing the Oni Alliance. Okay. I tend to agree with the consensus. With so many of the first party, you know, doing their own announcements from their own servers or their own avenues, call them what you will. It makes E3 irrelevant and meaningless. I mean, E3 is in some way, and this is just the way I see it, like gaming's answer to Comic Con in a weird way, because you have so many people
mm,
all coming together um, to look at what was approaching with regards to games in the same way that you go to Comic Con to see what new announcements are coming from TV, comic books, and movie trailers and what have you. So
mm.
it's a sad day, but when Nintendo left, the writing was on the wall. Because Nintendo are not really well known for sticking with something of a concept that works. I mean, they go from the Wii to the Wii U with the interactive control pad, especially what they had done for, I think it was Arkham City, where they had like all the very special tailor-made functions that you could use with Batman's utility belt and what have you. And with the Switch, it's an interesting concept, Whereas with Sony and Microsoft, they're like we just play games on a console. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it is very, for want of a better expression, plain and run of the mill. But a lot of gamers these days just want to essentially plug and play, whereas Nintendo, I give them this. They actually try new ideas. It's in a similar vein, say what we will about how some of the Sonic games have turned out over the years, but Sega are always trying new ideas with him, whereas Mario seems to do the same thing, more or less, and people still flock to him. But it is what it is. And just to finish up on a point I was saying, the season finale would have happened next week, but as Raiden and Steve mentioned, they have plans for friends and family, so it meant I had to step things up a bit. So Sonic 2 is ready to go. Took a little while longer, and also, Steve, I don't know if you've noticed, there seems to be some weird virus going around where it's not necessarily I don't want to say debilitating, but it's not, doesn't seem to be like a cold. It's sort of, it teases that it's going to do something, and then it goes away for a few days, comes back again, goes away for a few days, and rinse and repeat. And I've been paying very close attention to how I've been sounding each day. I'm like, it's like, don't strike my vocal cords down today. Please don't strike my vocal cords down today. I need to get these voiceovers done.
Unfortunately, it's that time of year. Well, from what I've heard, there's a lot of stomach bugs going along too.
Yeah.
That's not really nice.
That would explain my situation last week. You don't want to know.
Ooh.
Best not.
Let's just say, and I shall say this as a discreet, but as on point as possible, couldn't think of anything ridiculous that I had done.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Ruby.
That's nasty.
Yikes.
What happened?
He says, look on the bright side, you probably haven't been coughing for 3 weeks. Ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I hear that, bro.
Like I say, I can't think of anything ridiculous that I've done. It's just that one particular evening, I would have preferred to have used the facilities less. And we shall say no more than that. Right. We're going to start off with something relatively harmless and, well, dependent on your point of view, to get things going. And here we go. Let's see. Beverly Hills Cop 4 producer shares what makes Eddie Murphy special. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F shows off Eddie Murphy's strengths according to Jerry Bruckheimer. I'm amazed it's taken this long to do Beverly Hills Cop 4. Beverly Hills
You know
Cop...
what Hollywood's like.
Yes, I do. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is coming out next year, and the movie's producers shared why Eddie Murphy is so special. Bruckheimer talked to Netflix about the upcoming comedy. He says that the gift of improvisation is one that can't be underestimated, and Murphy is still at the top of his game when it comes to thinking on his feet. To be fair, some of the things he comes up with that's not in the script in most of his movies, that's pretty good. Some of the funniest moments in Axel F are when Eddie's improvising. For me, a big part of my job was to create the right environment, cast the right people around Eddie to allow him to do what he does best. That means we got another instance of the legendary comedian operating at the top of his game. It's a bit of a renaissance for Murphy here lately, and Beverly Hills Cop Axel F hopes to carry that momentum forward. He's such an incredible artist. He could do drama, he could do comedy, he could do anything, and he's the same Axel Foley. He's still on the streets. Bruckheimer added he's still doing what he does. Obviously with age you get wiser, but he still has the twinkle in his eye. And obviously, if Eddie starts smiling at if Axel starts smiling at someone, you think, don't do it, I'm gonna do it. Don't do it. Raiders like, I'm gonna get the popcorn, this gonna be good.
Yeah.
I've got the popcorn.
Detroit is a much different city than Los Angeles, and especially Beverly Hills, the producer said of revisiting the two locales. He still has the same kind of wonderment at the things you see walking down Rodeo Drive. Why did Eddie come back to the franchise? It's a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
The prospect of a new Beverly Hills Cop excites a lot of fans, and also to hear that theme song one more time. But making a new entry in the beloved franchise was no small decision for Murphy. Collider interviewed the comedian about his biggest reason for revisiting Axel Foley. It turns out that Jerry Bruckheimer's work behind the scenes assured him that this was the right move to make. So without the long-time Hollywood mover and shaker, we never get Murphy putting that Detroit Lions jacket back on at all. Is that the same jacket he's had on for like all three movies? Wow.
Might be.
I know he was driving what was it, like a '67 Mustang in the first movie. I'm like, you lucky bastard. There are people that would break their backs just to get that car. Jerry Bruckheimer, the original producer, when he got involved and he started developing the script and he knew what Beverly Hills Cop was supposed to be. When he got back involved, and that's when it all started to come together, Murphy revealed, because we tried for years and years, maybe 10 to 12 years, and I must have read 5 or 6 different scripts and it was never right. The studio was like, let's go, here it is. And it was like, it's just not it. Bruckheimer got back in there and he knows his shit and he put it together. He did Top Gun Maverick last year, and Bad Boys is very Jerry Bruckheimer. So we have that name brain behind Beverly Hills, and he put all the pieces in place that were required for us to make a great movie, and I'm excited for people to see it. 2023 has truly been wild. Axel Foley's appearing in a new Beverly Hills Cop trailer fits right into that mold. Murphy first rolled into Beverly Hills at the age of 22. Imagine telling the Saturday Night Live alum he'd be making another one all the way back in 1984. However, let the star tell it. He feels no pressure about being back on the beat. They've been trying to make another Beverly Hills Cop for 15 years now. He explained to D'Souza and Mara on their show. Right now, Netflix has it, and they're trying to develop a script. That's what we're supposed to be doing next, but I'm not doing nothing until the script is right. I didn't feel any pressure. When you're young, you kind of take everything for granted, so that's all I knew, you know? Stuff started happening fast for me, so I didn't even think about it. Now, when I look back, I'm like, wow, I was really young. 48 hours. I'm 28 years old in 48 hours. You weren't thinking that at the time, but now I can say, wow, I was really young. There was no pressure. Back then, I was just rolling with it. Are you excited for Beverly Hills Cop 4? I'm intrigued to see, particularly with Axel Foley, as we remember him being very controversial, saying it like it is, having no filter. Now take him into this modern era where people are constantly looking over their shoulders like, oh, I hope I didn't offend somebody, this, that. Just to hear like some of the reactions that characters that are probably going to be like allegories of stereotypes today, just to see how he interacts with that, and to see what kind of reprimands he's likely to get. Because obviously, if Axel Foley, say from the first and second Beverly Hills Cop, was to suddenly be dumped into today's society, it'd be like, oh, the censorship board's gonna have a field day. But Murphy's Murphy. He's just, like I say, he will take something and he'll turn it into gold, because that's just how he is. But even with Vampire in Brooklyn, you could see he was trying. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't the golden shield he was trying to make it into, but you could tell that even with the material he was given, it's like, I'll try and make it work. Because it says something to me when an actor, a writer, a singer, or any type of particular artist steps out of their comfort zone. They actually want to try and not do something that they're normally typecast for. It'd be like, for the sake of discussion, Oni's normally known for doing like the ranting and raging, and all of a sudden he gets a gig where he's having to act out Macbeth. Do you think how weird that would look? Or if he was to do Hamlet, Oni doing Shakespeare. Raiden's all like,
I don't know. I don't know if he would do Shakespeare, but he can get dramatic when he needs to. He can take things seriously.
Just try not to sort of like overact it like the late Rick Mail did in one Bottom Life stand-up, where he'll go, "Oh, hold me firm, Earth," and there's Eddie going, "Oh, fuck it, he's acting. Wake me up when it's finished." Those two, I don't care if people say, "Oh, this doesn't work on the stage." No, those two are legendary and priceless. If you get offended by Bottom, it's like, well, there's an age, restriction for a reason. They're going to be saying stuff, especially Hooligans Island. Oh my goodness. Steve, I think we can both agree that would not get made today.
No, heck no.
Oh dear. Okay. Raiden, thoughts on the fact that we've even got a Beverly Hills Cop 4, and do you agree with the consensus, particularly from Jerry Bruckheimer, that Eddie's one of the best when it comes to improv?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. No matter what age he is, Eddie's always the type to always just make it his own, Like for example, for example, when he did Life Eddie with Martin Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was a comedy, it was kind of like what's the word?
It was a dramedy.
Yes, dramedy. Yeah. Not only it was comedy, but it definitely shows corruption, like everything that goes on in those camps during that time. So Eddie always has something to say with stuff like that. When it comes to this Beverly Hills Cop, for me, I've only seen the first two movies. I haven't seen the third, even though I've heard it's not the best.
It's not.
Yeah, I've heard. But first two really good, and honestly, I'll definitely check it out. I mean, I saw Coming to America, the sequel. It wasn't as good as the first movie, but but honestly, it's good for what it is. It's like for example, when Good Burger 2 came out last month. It is not. I won't say it's not as good as the original, but what I like about that one is that it gives a gap on what Dexter and Ed were doing, and still going to their old ways. But I think with this movie, it's gonna be pretty interesting. I did see the trailer. I am captivated, so I'm kind of sort of looking forward to it to see what Eddie can do. Because no matter how, like I said, no matter how old he gets, he's always gonna do something that he feels like it's going to be good, no matter how bad it bombs. Looking at you, Adventures of Pluto Nash.
Oh dear. Damn.
But yeah, that's all I'll say.
So Steven, same
Still
questions?
guilty pleasure though.
Oh, sorry, beg your pardon.
It's still a guilty pleasure though.
All right. So Steven, your thoughts?
To be honest, not too familiar with the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. But by the sounds of what they're saying in the interview and knowing Eddie Murphy's repertoire of films, I can see you doing very well. Not much that I can say other than that.
Madam President?
When I first saw the trailer, I'm like, no, they are not. It's like the first few seconds, then I see the Lions jacket. I'm like, they are not making another one of these. watching the whole trailer, I kind of enjoyed it. It's like it looks fun. It doesn't change the game, but it doesn't look too bad. And the fact that they were able to get different characters from the first few movies, they got Paul Reiser back. If you did not have Judge Reinhold in that, I would not watch that movie. I'm sorry, it's not that movie without that guy in there.
No.
And they got Bronson Pinchot back. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, because he wasn't in the third one, was he?
No, he was in the first and I think the second one, but you can't do that movie without that guy. And like, well, again, his character is a little. You can't do his character these days, but bad. So it's like, but whatever they do with it, it's good. And it's like, again, Eddie is is in top form right now. They're letting him do this. They're letting him improv, which is actually a good thing. When you let Eddie Murphy improv, you can go either way. You can get comedic genius or you humor that you'll appreciate later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm actually excited for this, and I might give it a watch or at least try to find it later. It's like Oni and I watched that trailer, and he was all like, "I will actually wait until it comes out on physical media." I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing because it might not come out on physical media. It's like, we'll see what happens there. But I'm actually intrigued. I'm kind of would like to see where this movie goes.
I get your point on that, but as you rightfully once said, money talks and bullshit walks.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly the same thing Oni told me. So, yeah.
Also, I have actually heard through quite a few other YouTube channels, in niche markets, physical media is coming back. But it's like anything, you got to start small, build the presence, and slowly build things up. And small, slight off-topic thing, it still gets me to this day that Eddie Murphy not only had a relationship with Scary Spice, but he has a daughter with her. That threw me for a loop one time. I'm like, wait, when did this happen? Scary doesn't like to talk about it these days because apparently things didn't end the way they would have appreciated. So we're not going to say anything more on that. Dan's just saying, remember when Eddie was considered to play the role of Winston in Ghostbusters? I'm suddenly imagining Donkey from Shrek as a Ghostbuster. To be fair,
Oh my gosh.
to be fair to Eddie, I think he would have made a good Winston. But Winston, especially the way Ernie Hudson has played him, Ernie's performance is that of dry wit observation, and Eddie doesn't really do dry wit per se. He can, but Eddie's that sort of person where you gotta let him cut loose and what have you. So, and as we all know, before Peter Venkman, it would have been John Belushi to play Venkman because Dan Aykroyd wrote that role specifically for him, but then Belushi unfortunately passed away. So that's when they asked Bill Murray to fill in, and Bill had to be talked into it because initially he didn't want to do it. But then again, he didn't want to do Ghostbusters 2, but then again, Bill has a thing about doing sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan's just saying, oh, didn't George Lucas make a cameo in one of the Beverly Hills Cop movies? That's the first I'm hearing about this.
I did not know this.
Was he in front of a green screen, though?
Eh,
I don't...
No, he was probably put in with computers.
Son of a bitch, you beat me to it.
Well, somebody had to do it.
Ruby says, I know he was in the movie Hook as he was Jimmy Buffett. Very good, dude. Very good. Dan says, with regards to Oni doing Shakespeare, I don't think I want to see Oni butcher the bard. Okay. I'm not sure where that's leading, so we're going to move quietly on from that. Lydia, wherefore art thou, Lydia? Honey, I have your cookies. Ooh, cookies, get down. Here's this list like, hey Tim, suddenly I want cookies.
He's also seen Five Nights at Freddy's as well.
Yeah, my brother
Yes.
went and saw that.
Solid film. I will give it that. Solid film.
And currently in the top 20 of highest earning films of this year.
Nice. The Legend of Zelda producer says linear entries are games of the past. We probably shouldn't expect any more linear Zelda games. So we're going to get games that have a structure like Man of Steel.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Excuse me. You probably shouldn't hold your breath for more linear games in the Legend of Zelda series. Nintendo has some of the biggest IP in the gaming industry between things like Mario and The Legend of Zelda. The latter series has always been one of the most respected franchises out there thanks to its incredible worlds, feeling of adventure, and ability to push the envelope in the gaming medium. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was a true game changer and allowed Nintendo to take Zelda to a level that was incredibly freeing and didn't restrict the player very much. Its sequel, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, took things even further and became yet another smash hit for Nintendo. However, some Zelda fans don't really like being let off the leash. Some people want a more guided experience that is a bit more linear, like the older games in the series. Unfortunately for those fans, you probably won't see anything like that again. Speaking with IGN, IG Aonuma, I hope I pronounced this correctly, noted that the linear entries are more games of the past and that the more freeing gameplay design philosophy is aligned with player interest, but it does come at a cost for the developers. I'm in complete agreement with what Hidemaru Fujibayashi, I hope I haven't butchered that, said that in the games that where you would need to follow a specific set path, set of steps, or complete task in a very set order are kind of games of the past. I don't know, I kind of prefer that, if I'm being honest. Whereas currently the games of today are ones in which that can accept a player's own decisions and give them the freedom to flexibly proceed through the game, and the game will allow for that. So I'm in complete agreement that as our design philosophy, but as the producer, I do have to admit, making games that way always carries it with it additional development costs, and that is something I have to think about. Anuma also noted that it may be a grass is greener style of thinking that has fans longing for the more linear games. Well, I do think we as people have a tendency to want that thing we currently don't have, and there's a bit of grass is greener mentality, but I also think that with the freedom players have in the more recent games in the series, there is still a set path. It just happens to be the path that they choose. So I think there is one thing I kind of like to remind myself about the current games that we're making. But it's also interesting that when we hear people say those things, because I'm wondering, why do you want to go back to a type of game where you're more limited or more restricted in the type of things or ways you can play? But I do understand that desire that we have for nostalgia, and so I can also understand it from that aspect. I get what he's saying, but here's the thing. When you have boundaries and you understand your boundaries, there are no boundaries. Because when you understand what you can and can't do, you have the freedom to do what you want afterwards. Because you have that kind of second nature where it'd be like, for the sake of discussion, let's just say, for reasons unknown, L-Man and Oni and Raiden are on a road trip together. Raiden's like, oh dear lord.
Oh my god, no.
And
I can deal with Oni, but L-Man?
And imagine have there's this boundary. Do not poke Oni in his sleep. Do not poke Oni in his sleep. And then afterwards, like, okay, I won't do that. And then it'd be like other conversation. Don't say anything, disparaging about Heath Slater. And then Elman just has like the Hulk green eyes, and Red's like, I'll be good. I'll be good. I'll be good. And then, for whatever reason, Liz gets Raiden on FaceTime. It's like, Raiden, why you call it? Get me out of here.
Okay, I'd be a different person.
It's like, why, Raider? What's up? Is only making you play Hulk Hogan's main event? No, this is much worse. Here's this layer's like, why does he keep bringing up Hulk Hogan's main event? Honey, because you know it pisses you off. I know, but why does he keep doing it? You're answering your own question. You realize that. Honey, would you like a Funko Pop for later? Yes, please.
I think at this point those are too expensive for him at these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everything else.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
don't even get me started. Uh, I kind of get what like I say, what the producer's saying, but it's like Herb Powell, as voiced by Danny DeVito, said in The Simpsons. Instead of asking people what they want, you're telling them what they want, and I don't see that as being a good thing. But hey, if it makes money, they'll make more. But at the same time, they shouldn't just disacknowledge what got them to the dance in the first place. You know, it's like I say, where I mentioned Man of Steel, where because it's such a non-linear storytelling, where you get the beginning, just as it's getting to Smallville, suddenly we cut nearly 30 years into the future. He's on a boat. Then the flashback scene is 23 years into the past, where he's in elementary school, and then cut forward where he's just starting, probably just finishing junior high, and then he's off on his own again, and then it's just like after a while it gets confusing. But that's like Snyder for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm split on this one. I get that you have to move forward, but at the same time, there's something much more simplified and effective when you go from point A to point B and you just keep it that way, rather than go A, B, C, D, and then suddenly you're at TV, go to KL, and then YZ. It's just like, it gets really confusing. I've rambled enough. Sir Stephen, what's your hot take?
I think it really depends on the genre of games that you're developing for, because especially in the last couple of years, a lot of attention nowadays has been focused into video games. Some of them have been some of the best-selling and sold millions of copies worldwide, even just a month after their release. I think some of the more recent ones, from my mind, especially from Sony, are kind of the ones that sort of have side quests and all that stuff to keep players in a way that they can play it to their own experience. Like some may just want to play it for the story, others may want to do side quests to get a full experience of it. It's
Hmm.
just what the it's just what the individual wants with a certain type of game.
I feel you.
And because now that the genres now that there's so many genres and worlds that games can take you into, part of me feels that players are spoiled for choice. I can see the argument that people want to go back to sort of that older type of older type of game setup, but I think there's other games out there which ought to fill the same niche.
Hmm.
I mean, certain companies may want to do certain things with their particular IPs in terms of experimentation, wanting to take it in new directions. But at the same time, you've got indie developers trying to make their own way into the industry as well, which is great to see new talent getting brought in.
Yeah.
My my stance on it is take take a look around. If if Zelda is no longer the game that you are expecting for a specific reason, take a look out there. There's thousands of other games that are just as fulfilling, if not may tailor more to your experience. It's all in what the player wants.
Hmm.
Hmm.
All right. Uh, Raiden, what's your thoughts? Raiden. Technical difficulties, folks. Raiden's AFK or off mic until we get his thoughts. Madam President, your take on it.
Again, I'm one for linear storytelling, but if it's told properly in a game, then that's like I'm not against it. Just as long as it's like not a complete jumbled mess. If there's some cases where it makes sense and has a point, but I kind of like again, I don't mind how you tell a story in a game as long as there is a somewhat beginning, middle, and end, despite where you put those parts. And like that kind of works if you're telling stories through flashbacks or story backstory or some cases exposition.
Mm,
So just you have to tell the story properly. Otherwise, you're just jamming things together. You're trying to jam a square peg in a round hole, or vice versa. You
mm,
kind of need a you gotta need a proper way to tell a story. Otherwise, it's just a jumbled mess, and you're just gonna have people get angry, frustrated, or just drop the game altogether.
mm.
So if they're gonna do something like that, I'm okay with it. Doesn't bother me any.
Okay. Ah, the Raiden returns.
How
Um,
about that?
Raiden, your take on the fact that we're not likely to see linear told stories from the Legend of Zelda series anytime soon.
I mean, in a sense, it can be a big blow for some people who loves that type of storytelling. You know, I mean, I'm not the biggest Legend of Zelda fan, but I have played a little bit of the games growing up. But for me, I can understand that me not being a fan of something, I can understand why people love it. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
that could be a big blow to Nintendo system. Not like a giant blow, because when it comes to like Super Mario games, it's always very simple and all that. With Legend of Zelda, it's a lot more lore, especially with different versions of Link and all of that. So they're gonna have to come up with something if they're not gonna do what they've done for many years.
mm,
But no, Nintendo, they'll pull something like they always do.
mm.
We'll see if that goes.
Ruby just said, Kit, this is Zelda. We haven't had a linear story to begin with.
He has
Hmm.
a point there.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I've seen many Legend of Zelda incarnations.
Yeah,
Hmm.
including the animated series. Well, excuse me, princess. I still,
Hmm.
I still
No.
can't, I still can't believe Nostalgia Critic actually went and did that during Suburban Nights. I'm like, and Liz's reaction when we did the reaction to the reaction. Oh, f you! And there's Win. No,
Ah.
no, bad, no. To be fair to that animated series, if you ignore that particular thing, it wasn't actually that bad. I mean, wasn't anything to write home about, but it was watchable. Plus, the the incarnations of the characters that we know them as, they actually featured in an episode of Captain N. And yes, I realize that's a name from the crypt.
Yeah, I have not heard that name since Super Mario World.
And the concept is, it's not really, I suppose, that dissimilar from the holodeck of Star Trek Next Generation. The idea of going into a video game, but then again, Captain N was probably either coincidentally borrowing from Tron or, you know, it was just ripping off wholesale. And we know where the inspiration for the Nintendo belt buckle came from.
Oh,
Hmm.
jeez.
But
Sounds like an American equivalent of a Japanese isekai anime.
yeah.
I
Al-
can't believe they're making a Suicide Squad one.
Also,
Oh. Hmm.
also, with that animated series, how many of us wanted to backhand Simon Belmont back then?
Oh God, no! Don't.
Probably.
You hurt my boy. Why you do this?
It's like he was insufferable.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the bright side. At least we're getting Castlevania on Netflix, and it's very, very pretty to look at.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Oh, it
probably,
is.
ev- in probably a few years, we'll finally get Simon. But what I
Mm.
like about that series, and I know we're off topic, is they're going chronologically from the games like Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, to Castlevania Rondo of Blood, and then after the ending of Nocturne, I won't go spoil. Looks like we're going into Symphony of the Night, which is considered one of the best.
Ah.
Hmm.
Mm.
Neat.
Interesting.
Yes. Right.
And to get this, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of Castlevania. I never really interested to play the games, but I think the one thing about me is that things that I'm not a fan of, I like the adaptations. Like for example, well, okay, Sonic the Hedgehog. I played a couple of the games, Adventure 2 Battle and Sonic Heroes. But I think for me, I like the movie lore better because what I
Mm.
like about that is they're doing something what the game should have did. Like for Sonic 2, they introduced Gun. That's pretty cool. They're a big part in Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog. And of course the mid credit scene, they see Shadow. You see the Shadow
Hmm.
reveal. So for me, I'm really interested on how they're gonna pull this off.
And I
Yeah,
believe it's a year till that movie comes out.
Yep.
yeah, December 2024.
Yep. And oddly enough,
Well,
since you brought that up,
Oh.
Ooh.
Okay. Here
okay,
we
I'm all
go.
right. Gonna have fun with this one.
Okay, I am at 0-0.
same.
I'm at 0 as well.
All right, hold on. Okay, let me fix that up. What the hell?
What?
Oh wait. Never mind. For some reason, it couldn't play on Discord, so I'm on the YouTube. I'm on YouTube.
Okay. It's all good.
Yeah, it says
Mhm.
video unavailable, whatever. But I can still watch it. Still watch it on YouTube. So
Really, saying it's unavailable. Wait 1 second. Hang on, maybe just because it should be unlisted.
it is. I mean, I can't watch it on Discord, but I can
Right.
watch it on YouTube.
I think because of the reason for that, it got a partial copyright block in some countries, and when that happens, you're
Mm,
not really able to see it on other websites that um
yeah,
you post the link into. So also,
yeah.
just to make sure I'm not the only one who's noticed this, whenever you try to watch any YouTube video that you've posted to Facebook, if you notice, back in the day, you could watch it via the link, but now whenever you click on it, it takes you directly to YouTube.
Oh.
Um, either.
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh wait, roll at 0.
Well,
Yep.
0.
3, 2, 1. Season 20 finale. Play. The first Sonic movie was something of a fluke, due to a disastrous first impression and time needed to fix the main issue. Despite that, the finished product delivered a decent but
Hmm.
ultimately safe family movie that won out against the Birds of Prey movie. The challenge for the sequel
That's
was to not
constantly
only
being
provide more
shown on
character
Nickelodeon.
development,
but also bring in more of the lore of the
Ooh.
franchise
okay,
and its
but that's
many
okay.
supporting characters. The first of these new arrivals was Knuckles the Echidna, a character who's become something of a running joke to Sonic Team as a
Ain't that the
dim-witted
truth?
hothead. This allowed Jeff Fowler and
Yeah.
his team to offer a fresh and unique aspect of his character in history, an honourable warrior with a fish-out-of-water approach to human society and culture. The other introduction was that of the Master Emerald, presented more in a Marvel Comics Infinity Stones inspired origin instead of the rather vague suggested origin from Sonic Adventure and Frontiers, respectively. Sonic himself was also given some
We don't
much
talk
needed
about
character
Frontiers.
development. The games present
No.
him as this cocky but
No.
cool dude, however to anyone with eyeballs he came across as a 30-year-old man trying his best to fit in with the kids. Movie Sonic is a child that wants to be seen as a hero. This feeling is magnified by the appearance of
And
Miles
honestly, that's my
Tails
favorite version of
Prower,
Sonic right now.
a
Yeah.
fanboy of sorts that's come to help his hero in any way he can. Sadly, Sonic's overconfidence and eagerness becomes his downfall. He gets Tails injured, hands the plot MacGuffin directly to Robotnik, and ultimately gets captured by the newly formed Guardian Units of Nations. Yes, this American agency's acronym is GUN. Nobody ever said Sega were subtle.
Nope.
Having said that, the dynamic between Sonic and Tails harkens
Makes
back
sense
to
why
the
they made
earlier
Shadow the
days of the
Hedgehog.
franchise, not present since the two
Yeah.
American cartoons from the 90s.
I want to watch that
The
fan
big
film
brother,
at some
little
point.
brother relationship quickly endears the pair to the audience, and you genuinely believe their friendship is real, which is impressive since it's two fluffy CGI furries. When he finally obtains ultimate power in the form of Super Sonic, he quickly discards the power as he feels he's not ready for such a responsibility. A very strong message for children about, if you want something in life, you have to work for it. I did appreciate the various nods to Sonic games such as 06 and Sonic Adventure, but the movie doesn't stop to force feed you member berries with these references. If you understand the reference, then you're rewarded, much like the exploration in classic Sonic games on the Mega Drive. Stranding Robotnik on the Mushroom Planet was a nice way to leave it if the movie was a commercial bomb. However, I do appreciate the effort and ideas of getting it back to Earth via Knuckles' introduction. It informs the audience this is obviously an adaptation of 1994's Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. While it's suggested in the games, Jim Carrey was able to bring
Masterclass
out
in
the
villainy.
treacherous, deceitful and conniving aspects of Robotnik that, as a UK Sonic fan, haven't seen since the days of Fleetway Sonic the comic. He plays on Knuckles' vulnerability of being the last of his kind and offers him friendship. So when Knuckles says, "I trusted you, you are my friend," you really feel his anguish at being played and denied the one thing missing in his life. Robotnik naturally shrugs this off and shows his true colours. To quote Jaleel White,
Maybe you should consider a career in politics.
Ouch.
this movie is littered with many Easter eggs, references to the classic era, the OVA, Sonic X, and even the Dreamcast titles. You can tell Jeff is a huge fan of the franchise and tried to include as many references as possible. One I was not
This
expecting
floored
was the
me.
Bob
Good
Beaky
things.
disguise.
Oh.
This was an alter ego from the Fleetway comics Sonic took on to evade capture.
Bob Beaky.
Sadly, not all these references are winners. The reference to the MCU movie Captain America the Winter Soldier really feels tacked on and lacking any
A little
relevance
bit.
to the situation. The same could be said for the wedding segment as
It
it
did
dragged
go
on
on
for
way
longer
too
than
long.
necessary. I get we need the occasional
Yeah.
human segment to appear relatable to the audience, but much like the recent Five Nights at Freddy's movie, the audience is mainly here for the titular character, not some idiot side characters unrelated to the franchise. The fight at Green Hills is the highlight of the movie. Robotnik created a more
Even though I
sinister
don't mind
version of
James
the
Marsden's
Death Egg
character.
robot from the original Sonic 2,
Yeah.
which he uses to terrorize the small town of Green Hills, promoting Sonic and his new allies to save the day. This leads into the debut of Super Sonic, as we mentioned earlier, was given a more grandiose and godly appearance in comparison to being a reward for players collecting
I
the
was
Chaos Emeralds back in the day.
floored by
His
that.
brief appearance was all that was needed in demonstrating his power, as he decimated the Death Egg robot
Everyone
in
in the
under
theater I was
20
at was
seconds,
blown away.
culminating in the most disrespectful thing of all, referencing Sonic 06.
Oh, it's like that? Okay.
The movie also marks the end of the classic era representation, as the appearance of Shadow the Hedgehog in the post-credit scene lets the audience know the adventure era is next on
Theater
the
I
movie
was
universe's
at
agenda.
lost their
In summary, this sequel
mind.
surpassed what the original achieved. It
Yep.
built on
That.
what it had established and made the story grander and more expansive. Ben builds on what worked with his performance in the first movie while adding some emotion and layers to Sonic's character. It was impressive to hear the grief in his voice along with the guilt he was expressing as Sonic when he felt he almost got Tails killed. Sonic is a character that you need to see grow and evolve over time,
That was
and
a
I
really
think
good
Ben's
scene.
performance showed just that. Tom and the other humans took a back seat in this movie, no doubt in response to their divisive inclusion in the previous movie. For the little we had him for, Tom has been elevated into something of a father figure for Sonic,
They were okay in the last
providing him with words of wisdom and tries to caution the young hedgehog in chasing something he isn't ready for. I don't think it's unfair to say Jim is the reason people saw these movies, as he carries the entire production and the DVD extras on his back like a champ. You can tell he was enjoying things a bit too much this time, such as the Death Egg robot scenes and to where he's gloating that he's got the Master Emerald. As the
Honestly,
only actor from the
it
video games,
screams
Colleen
90s.
fits in
Yeah.
perfectly
Okay.
as Tails.
Yep.
While she still provides a lot of the technobabble the character is known for, this younger and giddier version of the
Hard to
character
think
is a
that's
nice
Wasp.
starting point for the sequels to build upon into the genius from the games.
It
The more you
is.
know.
Tika had more involvement this time
How
around
you
in not
doing?
only showcasing her as Sonic's
Hey.
adoptive mother, and to be Tails' as well, but the fact they gave her more participation when she and Rachel were rescuing Sonic, Tom, and Tails. I've gotta be honest, Idris was not my first choice to play Knuckles. But after hearing his performance,
He knocked it out
I
of the
would
park.
not do this movie without him.
It's
What he
surprisingly
brings,
works.
as well as the naivete, is that sense of profound honor and dignity, as being raised to one day lead the Echidna tribe.
You can tell he has
He
had a
had
good
those
time in the
principles
movie.
yeah.
and values imprinted
Yeah.
on him. Like Sumter, Lee was given more to do this time, and he conveys the loyalty
I
to
forgot
Republic
he was
as
in
someone who
Underworld.
idolizes their hero
I
and
didn't even know he was in
longed
that.
for their return. And
Damn.
I suppose in some sense it was similar to Tails idolizing Sonic.
I still say Awakening was the weakest of the Underworld movies.
Yeah,
The
we don't
practical
talk
and
about
visual
that.
effects are even better than the last
Yeah.
movie. However, just like the first
Yeah,
movie, I
and
felt
Idris
Elba
that
said,
some
I'm-
scenes needed
Oh,
a
sorry,
bit
go
of
ahead.
polish.
But I'll
Such
give it
as how
this.
Robotnik
It
was
was better than Winter
clearly in
Wars.
front of a green screen
is so
on the
green
Siberian
screen.
mountains. In a
Yeah.
similar vein to the opening
Very
hand
green
gliding
screen.
scene from Jurassic Park 3, Tails and Knuckles are faithfully
Oh,
adapted
God.
into
Yeah.
live-action CG, and still very recognizable from their game and animated counterparts. Knuckles really looks like he has power to the way he's rendered with the
Yeah.
muscle tone. Tails was made extra fluffy, and the addition of a backpack was restoring all of his goofy and wacky gadgets, possibly inspired by Sonic Battle. Tom Holkenberg resumes his duties as the composer, and I would say that this matches the quality of what he had accomplished with the original, but also making this feel grander and epic, particularly with the chase and fight sequences involving Knuckles. There are also some touching moments, especially at the end where Sonic refers to Tom as Dad, after scolding him earlier in the movie for acting like a father.
I've got a lot more than that, Dad.
Aww.
Aww.
A similar heartwarming
Jinx.
scene is where Sonic and Tails begin to bond more before they sleep.
That's so sweet.
We get the risky business nod to where Sonic comes
Lord.
sliding into Here Comes the Hot Stepper by Ine Kamose, and it's one of those, I should have seen this coming. But given the type of guy that Sonic is, this is the kind of thing I would expect of him. And to be fair, the song serves its purpose along with
Poor
This Is How We
Ozzy.
Do It by Montel Jordan. To round things off, you have
I
Kid Cudi
love this
performing the
song.
official single with Stars in the Sky that just has such an up-tempo and infectiously warm feeling to it. And it shows in the
Oh,
music
great, now I
video
want a
with
chili
imagery
dog.
from the movie and the sprite-based end credits. Like Wiz Khalifa, this
Yeah,
song
I'm
was coming
happy.
from a place of
I'm
love
happy music
and
videos
appreciation
are
for Sonic.
shown like this more.
Yep.
I miss that. I miss
Sonic
that
2
era.
took in a worldwide profit of $405.4 million against a budget of $90 million to $110 million, surpassing the original's take-in
Wow.
of $319.7 million. But keeping in mind that the world went through the pandemic, so the movie could not have taken more money even if it tried at the time. After only 1 year, Sonic the Hedgehog 2's take-in 2023 would be $431.5 million.
Whoa.
Jim Carrey's reprised
Well
role
deserved.
as a villainous weirdo helps this fast-paced, family-friendly video game movie sequel maintain a refreshing silliness. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 brings all the humor and charm of its predecessor while also being delightfully more loyal to its source material. A positive review of Sonic from IGN? Surely you jest. While Sonic the Hedgehog's unexpected positive reception
Had to
could
put
have
that
put
in.
its sequel in a difficult spot since it comes with higher expectations, the Jeff Fowler directed Sonic the Hedgehog 2 clears the higher bar, delivering a better movie in nearly every way. A sequel was confirmed by Sega of America and Paramount in February 2022, with Schwartz and Elba reprising their roles, and as mentioned earlier, the
I really
arrival
like
of
the
Shadow the
image.
Hedgehog was confirmed
love
by
Mila's
the
work.
mid-credit scene, which sent fans into a shocked frenzy.
Yeah, that was the reaction.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will debut in theaters on December 20, 2024. The movie has been enjoyed since 2022 on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K. I'm MJ Knight, and this was Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Well done, review.
Thank you. I went to him just to give it a look over, and he came back with a whole rewrite, and I'm like, huh? Okay, yes sir, we'll use that. You might want to stick around.
Yeah, I figured it's like, wait, there's more to the video. Wait a minute. Uh-oh.
Oh, you're still here. Don't mind me, just reading some Slayers.
Win will love me for that.
Folks, I think you figured out by the length of this video that Sonic 2 was not the season finale. But this next one is though, and I will give no other clue than the music that's about to be played. So with that said, Harold, play me out. Merry Christmas.
Hey.
Ooh.
No way.
Huh? Oh, I already know.
No way.
Too easy.
Oh my god.
Yep.
It's Top Gun, and there's
Nice.
only one way to start this.
Yes sir.
Level up your engine, listen to her howl for love. Highway through the danger zone.
Alright, let's be honest here a moment, if we may. If you don't have Danger Zone, then it's not Top Gun. Also, you know, I don't think I'll ever get tired of that guitar riff.
Nope.
The movie deals with the themes of acceptance, letting go, forgiveness, and resolve, resolution. Throughout the movie, Maverick carries the burden of Rooster, Goose's son, resenting him for pulling his academy papers. Rooster feels angry and betrayed by someone he felt was like a father to him. There's a lot of conflict in which you see the two attempting to deal with their frustrations. One of which sees this moment that's a nice callback to this moment from the first movie.
Greetings.
Even though he's a more veteran pilot, Maverick is still Maverick. Gosh dang it, Mav! And then we see the reunion of Ice and Mav. It's so humbling to see what has become of
No matter
Ice
how
with his
old you get,
cancer
you're still gonna be a
diagnosis
goofball.
and the sheer
Mm.
emotion that is conveyed between once former rivals, now best of friends, as Ice attempts to get Maverick to let go of his guilt of his actions towards Rooster, and probably in some sense still feeling guilty for what happened to Goose decades earlier. You know, I think there's an old saying that's been passed around time to time. A good leader doesn't tell his students how to do it, he shows them. After so many failed attempts from his students and the fact that Cyclone grounds him with Iceman no longer there to bail him out, Mav takes it upon himself to run the practice flight, and the tension is so real that it builds with each second he draws nearer to the target.
Oh,
I'm going
yes.
to let this particular segment play in its entirety so you can appreciate the magnitude of this.
Bombs away!
Damn.
What can you say, folks? Game recognizes game.
Yep.
The mission does go to plan in destroying the unsanctioned nuclear plant, but it comes at a price. With Mav being shot down, with Rooster going back for him, the two reunite and then steal an F-14 that was alluded to earlier in the enemy surplus yard. One very clever aspect the movie puts down, which will not date this in the future: the enemy nation is never specified. And what happens next is suspenseful, cinematic perfection.
This is amazing.
Come on. Needle's alive, come on. That's it, come on. Alright. Here we go.
Yeah.
Me, like, oh shit.
Oh no.
This is something that is missing from most modern movies, that slow, burning suspense with the tension being released with satisfaction in taking off. It's like if you find your old ride. If you own a 67 Mustang and you know the pony has got one last ride left in her. That is the F-14 to Maverick. He hasn't flown her in years, and yet for one last time, it's like riding a bike. It all comes right back. This movie is amazing.
Brace yourself.
I want you to keep this in mind. Maverick shot down 2 5th-gen Su-57 fighter planes with an F-14. A plane from the 1970s with no guidance systems operating, just shot them down with savvy experience. Also, it's worth noting that the F-14 is actually faster at Mach 2.34 than the Su-57's Mach 2, so Maverick and Rooster could have outrun them back to the boat. This is a nice moment of levity.
Please don't tell me we lost an engine. Alright, I won't tell you that. Okay.
The old girl has compromised landing gear, and it's that feeling of, come on, land gently. And another satisfying moment where they touch down intact. The end shows Mav and Rooster resolving their conflict by
feeling.
reconnecting and putting their issues behind them.
Any landing you can walk away from is a good one.
I had my skepticism going into this sequel, as Tom has not played Maverick in 36 years by the time this movie was released in theaters in 2022. And he pleasantly surprised me. He stepped right back into character like 1986 was yesterday. He still has the same charm, charisma, cockiness that made him a lovable rogue in the original, but this time he has maturity, wisdom in picking his moments more carefully. This movie did something right with legacy characters. They didn't deconstruct them to become these bitter, jaded, and darker characters that have essentially abandoned who they were. Looking at you, Last Jedi.
Not sorry.
Instead, Tom Cruise showed how a legacy character should be and actually evolved them into being these mentor figures that the next generation can learn from and aspire to be. This is powerful.
It's not what I am. It's who I am.
After seeing this movie, you'll forget about his involvement in the train wreck that was 2015's Fan 4 Stick, even though he was one of the very few redeeming highlights of that. He comes in as the son of the late Goose, and the resemblance is uncanny from the hair, aviator shades, mustache, and Hawaiian shirt. He speaks with a similar cadence that Anthony Edwards spoke with. That is superb attention to detail. The tension and resentment he displays towards Maverick convincingly for having his papers pulled from the academy, which unknown to him was at his late mother's request. And this is a testament to Cruise's acting as he carries that burdened weight of guilt of knowing that Rooster hates him for it, but at the same time, he didn't want to lose the closest thing he has to a son. This man acts as the bridge between the Navy and Maverick. To the untrained eye, you'd think that he's completely in league with Cyclone, but when you pay closer attention, you can see that he was always in Maverick's corner. And then you see his facial expressions during the test run where he gets comfortable saying, "You kids are in for a treat," and the clenched fist of satisfaction. He was rooting hard. You could make the argument that Cyclone could be seen as an antagonist as he never had Maverick on the list to be at Top Gun. He seemingly does everything he can to make the captain do things
He did
his
come
way,
across
even
as
though
quite
Maverick
smug.
insists his ways will work. Ham is normally known for his comedic work, but here he shows that he can play a hard-to-the-nose authority figure with conviction. It's been some time since we've seen Jennifer in any movie, aside from her small role in
Like a
Alita:
fine wine, she gets
Battle
better with
Angel.
age.
She plays a
Right?
rekindled love
I
interest
know.
of Maverick's that was alluded to in the first movie when Mav and
What?
Goose were being
90s Jennifer
grilled for the
Connelly. How
umpteenth
you
time
doing?
by Principal Strickland. Her role is small, but it's significantly important as she ultimately convinces Maverick to find a way back in after being grounded for good. She has a small role as the only female pilot that makes the cut for Maverick's selection. She's an extremely competent pilot with an equally sassy attitude to match.
He called you a man, Phoenix. You gonna take that?
So long as he doesn't call you a man.
Oh, I like you. This character goes through his own evolution throughout the movie as kind of a modern version of Maverick in his youth. Notice these facial expressions during Maverick's test run, and notice how he goes from being arrogant to intrigued, shocked, and then impressed at the end with one simple
Damn.
This was a powerful performance of a man that has been humbled by life with his cancer diagnosis. You really see the evolution of Mav and Ice's relationship since the first movie and how Ice really was Maverick's wingman in fighting his corner and keeping him in the Navy where others wanted to dispense with him. This moment is a tearjerker.
The Navy needs Maverick. The kid needs Maverick. That's why I fought for you. That's why you're still here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got something in my eye there, probably dust. Val
damn
acted
onion
this
cutting
scene out
ninjas.
beautifully with Tom when you consider that they incorporated his condition into the movie. Practical and visual effects have come a long way since the mid-80s, as we're able to see perspectives from the planes that we could with the cameras mounted in various positions to encompass more of what is seen from these amazing machines. The scene with Maverick's solo run to prove that the mission could be flown was only ever done once. The pilot that flew that scene was pushed to his nerves so much that he could not repeat it. Sadly, all of the F-14 scenes are done with a mock plane as the producers were not able to secure a working F-14. But even so, the visual effects have you believe that you're seeing a dogfight between an F-14 and an Su-57. This is something that Tom Cruise wanted put into the movie in the sense of he wanted this as real an experience as possible. And this is why he's not only one of the greatest action stars today, but he also knows what works as he has the audience in mind, first and foremost.
Yep.
Harold Faltermeyer returned to produce themes that resonate with those that remember the original movie, along with Hans Zimmer providing his contributions and Lady Gaga, who also provided the ending theme to show Maverick and Penny riding in a P-51 Mustang that Maverick had been restoring, of which Tom Cruise actually owns.
Yep.
If you listen very closely, you can hear an orchestral version of Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone as Mav and Rooster board the F-14. It's very subtle, but it hits home.
Oh my god. This thing is so old.
It's worth noting that Kenny had recorded an updated version
Kinda
of Danger
reminds me of,
Zone, but Tom told him that he
Power
wanted the 86
2017 when we
version as he
used
wanted
Power
to be
Rangers
authentic to the
95
original
theme.
movie. And also, because so many people associate that song with that movie, it made sense. The penultimate dogfight has you on the edge of your seat throughout, especially with this moment.
To be told. You got him, man. You got him. Taking a shot.
The score, like the movie, is a love letter to the old school action movies, and it will stand the test of time. Top Gun Maverick brought in a box office profit of $1.496 billion against a budget of $170 to $177 million. After only a year's inflation, Top Gun Maverick is now worth $1.592 billion in 2023. Peter Hammond of Deadline Hollywood called the sequel better than the original, exceeds with flying colors, and exists in a world that is all of its own making. These are golden sunsets, perfectly crisp white t-shirts, exquisitely coiffed hair, and long-held flames of romance that make it all impossible to resist, by Entertainment IE's Brian Lloyd. As thrilling as blockbusters get, it's the kind of edge-of-your-seat, fist-pumping spectacular that can unite an entire room full of strangers sitting in the dark and leave them with a wistful tear in their eye. From Clarice Lowry, chief editor of The Independent. The movie won Best Sound at the 95th Academy Awards, Best Movie for Grown-Ups at AARP Movies for Grown-Ups Awards, and various other accolades from other awards ceremonies. The movie was not without controversy, and ironically, it had nothing to do with the script, actors, nor the presentation of the movie. It pertains to the 35-year copyright to use the article of Top Guns by Ehud Yoneh, expiring, and the estate of the late author, who passed away in 2012. They sought damages over Maverick, citing that there were similar elements in the movie from his article, and that Paramount continued on ignoring the 35-year copyright law, where the rights would revert back to Yoneh's estate. The producers considered that most of the sequel had been filmed before the termination and deny that the movie is derived from the original article in 1983. Miles Teller had been pitching the idea of a potential sequel around his character to Paramount and had been talking to Tom Cruise regarding a sequel. Since 2022, the movie has been treasured on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K. I'm MJ Knight, and we went back to the Danger Zone once more with Top Gun Maverick.
Lord.
I like the new logo.
Thank you.
That looks good.
Well, I liked the work that the designer had done for Oni's Discord, Discord server logo. I'm like, yeah, I kind of want this too. So, Pisces Designs, as they're known as on Fiverr.com, I just said, can you give me something like 80s neon? Because I just wanted something updated, something simplified, and gave her a couple of designs that I was inspired by, and she comes back with that, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, we're using that. That looks really decent. What have they had to say in it? um, oh, Ruby's just said, I mean, how many timelines did they have before they abandoned the whole timeline idea? Probably referring to Zelda. I don't know. Sean's just
Too
said,
many to count.
Sean's just
Yeah.
jumped in. Hi, what have I missed so far? You missed an advanced screening of the season 20 finale of Real Features, Sean.
Yep.
Both Sonic 2 and Top Gun 2. He's gonna be here and it's like, ugh. I just remembered thinking when I was prepping, because season 20 didn't really. He says, I blame work. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. Because season 20 was not the season the way I had hoped it would look, I thought, well, I've got to make up for it somehow. So I figured, you know, a double ticket season finale, because that kind of makes up for it. But as I've said before, because my production schedule is a little bit on the wonky side these days, it's easier if I focus on one review per month. But because it's coming up to Christmas, it's like you got to give something a little bit extra. So that's why there was nothing ever advertised about Top Gun, except for in the trailer for Sonic 2 when I had Silly Shadow said, "Feel the need for speed," and that was the only clue. But then because it's Sonic as well, it's like, well, Need for Speed, Sonic, fast, people would look and think, okay. But I actually produced the Top Gun Maverick review first because, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, there's some weird bug going around, and I thought, and because Random had not come back to me yet with the finalized script for Sonic 2, I just pressed on with Maverick, thought, let's get this one in the can. So, if Sonic falls through and my brother was not able to do it, and I'd probably have to revert to the script I was putting together initially, I'd have something to fall back on. But at the 11th hour, literally a day before the deadline where he had to hand in his revised script by, it came in a day early, and for about 3 hours of time, since Tuesday, I've been doing voiceovers and re-recordings because I noticed in the initial recording, I was trying to do too much too quickly. So what I found over the last few days is, don't focus on a whole category to get done. Focus on 3 lines at a time. Just purposely take the load off your shoulders, and just take it slow, take it steady. And I think I got there, because if you heard the original voiceovers, you'd be like, dude, this is not your best work. But the problem I have is I don't want to sound so slow, but then I don't want to fire out my dialogue so quickly that I end up starting to trip over my tongue and in some places stutter a little, and then that just gets me frustrated. And then I try to go in with a second take, and I'm still agitated that I got it wrong, until I eventually have to just sort of start calming myself down and be like, okay, just push through this and you'll get there. And the final render was done this morning, round about 10:30 a.m. because there was like a couple of imperfections I saw with regards to some of the overlays and the way the pacing was going. I was like, okay, let's trim those down, let's make that more streamlined, and it's like, okay, that is it, no more changes, because otherwise I'll end up like how the thief and the cobbler ended up getting so butchered because of all the re-edits.
Baby. Well, the good news is, first things first, rest in peace, Richard Williams. Second off, there is a version called the recobbled cut. Honestly, it's much better than what we got. Search on YouTube recobbled cut, or just find on some video player somewhere, and you'll get a much different movie. Other than that Richard Williams was intended.
So I suppose in like I don't know if this is a fair comparison. Is it a bit like with Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League, or is that kind of apples to oranges, particularly with regards to the version Joss Whedon did?
Take out the long run time, and you'll get that comparison.
Okay, that is the only thing I mark his version of Justice League. It's like it didn't need to be 4 hours. That's just too long. I mean, if he just turned it as like a mini TV series, then fine. But as a movie, it's like that should be 2 movies. Like, you don't need. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, do the first part first, and then release the second part next year. Kind of sort of what Avengers did with Infinity War and Endgame.
I mean, I think the only movie I can think of that came close to the 4-hour runtime was Gone with the Wind. But I think back in those days, you could only do a movie like that like once or twice, because people just don't have the attention spans to sit in the theater for 4 hours, unless you're doing like a movie marathon like they did for Back to the Future's 30th 8 years ago, where they had part 1 and part 2 run back to back. But at that point, I'm like, you might as well just tacked on the third movie as well, because I get that you're going to part 2 specifically because of the fact we'd caught up with the timeline. But if you're going to do those 2, like I say, you may as well have done the third one. And I've still yet to see part 2 and 3 in the theaters. And because the 40th anniversary is coming up in a year plus change, maybe that'll be my opportunity to see all 3 movies in the theater, and it'll be. I could actually say that I've seen the first movie 3 times in the theater. Get to the usual questions. So Stephen, with regards to Sonic 2 and Top Gun Maverick respectively, thoughts on the movies then, now, thoughts on the review, and I suppose the obvious question to tack on as well is, you didn't see that coming, did you?
No, I did not. I have to say, I think out of the 2, Sonic.
Apologise for this, folks. We've lost Stephen a moment. He might be having connection issues.
Probably.
Let's see.
There he is.
There he is.
Sorry about that.
Wi-Fi issues.
Headphone troubles.
You were saying, sir.
Sonic 2 is probably one I remember more, mainly because I saw it with a friend and I saw it in 4DX. So some of the scenes ended up becoming too real in some parts, mainly the Robotnik spit gag with mushroom coffee.
That just sounds disgusting on the face of it.
Hence the spit gag. But of course, in 4DX, for those of you who don't know, it has added effects. So the chairs sometimes move along with in high action scenes. You get like rain effects, water effects, and at one point there's actually a spray in the front of the seats, and that actually activated during the spit take scene, which made me jump for one thing.
I think they had
Top Gun.
I think they had a similar
Sorry.
experience at Thorpe Park years ago, where I think this is where this concept was possibly first introduced, where we were watching like an original Aliens cinematic experience where the seats would actually rotate to where this tank would actually be going up into up into this spaceship, or to another one where we're in this like sort of Captain Hook movie where you see like this sort of 3D bees or wasps in your face, and you have like this jets of air going. It's like to try and simulate stingers going in your face. So
Ugh.
yeah, you were saying.
But I loved the movie. There were moments that got me really excited and my heart pounding, especially during the labyrinth scene, because 4DX, you actually felt as if you were being, if you, as if you were with Sonic trying to get past all the death traps.
It's funny you mentioned that scene. There's one very specific moment where the camera zooms out and shows like a whole screenshot of the entire map of Labyrinth. If you compare that to the screenshot from the original Sonic 1 Labyrinth, that is pretty much almost pinpoint accurate layer of that particular act from Sonic 1.
Hmm. For Top Gun Maverick, it was one of the main films that I ended up joining in for a staff showing, because at the time I was working. It was roughly about a year, coming up to a year since I was working in cinema, and
Mm-hmm.
there were moments in there that brought me to tears.
Yeah.
It, even though it may have taken a bit of a hurdle to get to producing this movie, and which I mean Maverick,
Mm.
it was you can clearly tell it was done with passion and love and just dedication to the original,
Yep.
which is some, which is something that a lot of modern films just don't do. And it clearly shows with the box office.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you from when I was working from May 2022, it was still in the cinema by the time it was coming up to the end of July and coming into August of that same summer.
If it keeps making money, people will still go to it.
Hmm. And we even had double features with with the original and Maverick. Very solid review, and I have to say, nice job on making the surprise.
Well, it's like this philosophical quote that's been going around on Facebook in the last 6 months. Don't talk about your plans, just show your results. Because if you tell people what you're going to do, some, and I stress just some, try to talk you out of it because they want you to do something more specific. Whereas you've got the goal, you've got the vision, you know in your heart what you want to do. As long as you don't do anything ridiculous, go out, strap your boots on, tie your belt up tight, and you go on your mission by any means necessary. And I appreciate the feedback. Cyber Raiden, same questions to you.
Well, there's a Sonic 2. Now this one's a little personal. I think you guys know that before I watched the movie, I had the unfortunate news that my cousin, who was kind of more of a big brother than me, passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that,
So,
man.
thanks. So, my mind was still made up watching the movie, and honestly, just being there, especially seeing families, kids, parents with their kids, it was just cool to see. And like I said before, even though I'm not the biggest Sonic person, I can honestly say this movie was just a great refresh. Even not playing the games, I got all the references. It was cool to see the relationship between Sonic and Tails. Voice acting was done well. Effects was done well. Idris Elba voicing Knuckles was unexpected, but I know Idris can pull it off because he's really great actor. Get Jim Carrey killing it as Robotnik, of course. It's Jim Carrey, and him just going off the rails is just so 90s for me. So the whole movie itself was pretty good. Was fun to watch. I will agree the human parts did drag on a little bit. That was one of the biggest pet peeves for me. But all in all, I really enjoyed myself watching the movie, and of course that mid credit scene was Knuckles. That had the whole theater going insane, and I cannot. And of course, doing your review was always great. You always improve on your stuff, and and that's all I can say. Now, as for Top Gun Maverick, now unlike you two, I'm not the biggest. I've never watched the original Top Gun, but I know how important it is, and like I said, Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone is a cult classic that's will always be played. And just seeing the review itself, it's like seeing the whole plot. It's like wow, that for what it's worth, the filmmakers and directors really did their job on making this sequel to people watch. And from especially you, MJ, it hit all cylinders, and happy that you got the movie that you wanted. I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Even with this world being a little effed up, you're always going to have things that make you happy, put you in that mindset, like, oh wow, this is something that I loved as a kid. I'm happy we got it. So once again, did great on your part. The whole video itself is a very great nod to that season finale. Good job, great job, amazing job.
Thank you. And to our own Top Gun in Commander the President Lydia Rakaku, same questions to you.
I mean, unfortunately, I haven't seen either of those movies. You'd think that I would have a lot of free time nowadays. I don't, and I feel bad, but from what I've seen, there's there's one thing in common with both of these films: a love for the source material.
Mm-hmm.
Because it shows that, like, not just from your review, but like from the creators of these films, it's like there's a love and a respect for, or in a sense, a reverence for these like characters, and I kind of respect that. And the fact that they show love in their craft, and they show that they could have done this, but they did this instead, where it's like they could have zigged where they zagged, especially with the Sonic franchise. It's like you could have buckled down on that monstrosity, and yeah, that wouldn't have ended well. But again, love for the source material, love for their audience, because they listen. At least I think so. And that's all I can add to that. But as in regards to the review, both reviews, you did a really good job. There were a lot of facts that I didn't know about, especially the whole thing with Top Gun, and that that was a little thing I don't want to go into because you already did. But I didn't know about that. So I'm like, oh, neat. Okay. When it's again, that's a nice little factoid that I didn't know about, and that's I can commend you for that. So all in all, it was a great review and a nice little surprise at the for Top Gun Maverick. So yeah, good on. It's really good. Good job.
Appreciate that. And that was the time where I was going to unveil the new logo because I thought if you're going to do that, make it as much a surprise as, letting people know he's reviewing Maverick. Because Steve would have got it straight away as soon as the opening theme to Maverick to Top Gun starts playing. It's like, wait, he's not. And then it just kicks in, and I tried to keep the build up as short as possible, but also having enough time just so that people wouldn't have to speed read through the text, just so that it's like, okay, I've got all this down. Yeah. This is very Top Gun, and then BAM! Top Gun Maverick. I tried a numerous amount of ways through Vegas to get the text to match up with the font, but for whatever reason it just wouldn't work. So I thought, right, here's what we do: get the logo in PNG form, but try to do it in such a way whereby one comes in first and then the other one just fades in at the bottom. Because there are some things I can do with Vegas, and there are some things where it's just beyond my capabilities, or the technique is there and I just haven't learned it, and I'm inclined to think that it might be a bit of both. But that's essentially the premise going forward. It's trying to stick to producing one review per month until things just get a little bit easier, or I'm able to strike a balance with the time that I have available in the afternoons to get production work done, because as you know, the walls in this building are not as soundproof as they made them out to be. And you don't try to work around your limitations, you work within them. It's like, okay, I'm not able to do this at this time of the day, what can I do for the moment? And just go from there, and slowly improving the audio, because I know audio has been a bit of an issue with regards to voiceovers, but again, I can only record at certain times of the day, and once it gets past a certain point in the evening, it's like, that's it, done. Whatever work you were able to get done, go to the editing, work on that, and then move forward. Yeah. Let's have a quick look, see what other comments. Sean says, looking forward to Sonic 3. I am as well. It'd be interesting to see how they write Shadow in. How accurate they're going to be with regards to the way he's been portrayed over the years. Who they'll get to voice him, because there's still that word on the wire. They want Tobey Maguire as Shadow, which is not the most obvious choice. Now, that's not to say Tobey couldn't play him, but a lot of people want, say, Keanu Reeves. I like Keanu, but he doesn't scream Shadow at me. I mean, for Shadow, if they could get, say, somebody who has a similar pitch and cadence to how Jason Griffith voiced him in the games, not so much Sonic X, because the vocal direction Griffith was given in X was just, well, it's for kids, that says everything it needs to. I don't know. I mean, I think at this point, it might just be an idea if they just got someone completely unknown who can then sort of mold his way in. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Rina Romano do it, because we've seen his work with the Batman, which I'm going to keep hammering this home until people acknowledge this. No, not like Roman Reigns. No, no, we're done with him. The Batman is a very underrated animated series. Very. Simply because it lives in the shadow of Batman the animated series, anything and everything is always going to be viewed as pale in comparisons. That's why I just watch the Batman for what it is, and it's an entertaining show. And of course, there's the rumor that Amy Rose is going to be in, and I'm just like, please, for the love of all that is sacred, don't have her as she is in the games and how she was in Sonic X as the stalker fangirl, because we don't want reminders of how I got wind to portray her as a yandere fangirl. Why, hello, Sonic Senpai, which gave Madam President and Cyber Raiden PTSD flashbacks from last year.
Yeah.
We don't need that, thank you.
If they can have how she was in Sonic Boom, I'd be okay with that. Because there's still those little hints of being very fond of Sonic, but it's toned way down. But obviously, if you're also going to bring in Shadow, then you're going to bring in Rouge the Bat as well. You know that if they bring Rouge in, fan art is going to be made. God. And I see enough of that on DeviantArt to where I'm like, okay, this is clearly not safe for work. But then again, Rouge's design has always been kind of borderlining between tongue-in-cheek and risque anyhow. Whether they'll play up the antics between her and Knuckles like it's implied in Sonic Adventure 2 and then Sonic X, I don't know. But be interesting to see how that plays out. The only problem is, if they do bring in Amy Rose, the Wachowski household is going to get very full in the near future, because for Tom and Maddie, it was already a handful enough with just Sonic. Now they've got Tails and Knuckles. It's going to be interesting to see, what type of time skip is there going to be with the third movie? Is it going to be like how it was with Sonic 2, where it's only a year removed? Or is it going to be a couple of years to where, I don't know, Tails is going to homeschooling and Knuckles has got his own gym and dojo in the garage, and Rain is like, hey, let me use that as well. Do you have grapes? Yes, I do. You may use it. The Knuckles, give him fruit, and he's good, and you're good with him. But yeah, that's kind of where I sit with the third movie, and also very nice strong start to Christmas next year. Because in a similar vein, I don't think No Way Home was originally supposed to be like a build-up to Christmas, but the way things unfolded, courtesy of world events, it actually worked out quite nicely. And it's actually only... Let me see. Superman, Batman Returns. Yeah, No Way Home is probably only the fourth superhero movie to be either released around Christmas or at least have the story set around Christmas. And even at the end of No Way Home, you do see it in a winter setting.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's still amazing when, you... Cause I remember Random telling me when he went to go see it, he said that the thing that surprised him the most is that kids that were probably only born, say, in the last 10 to 12 years, Toby got the biggest pop from them. Because he was sort of half expecting it to be like maybe Andrew. Like, no, they were super stoked when Toby showed up. I suppose it was for those of us that, grew up watching the original trilogy. And to be fair to Toby, he's aged well. I mean, all right,
Mm-hmm.
he's not a very. You can't pull off looking like a teenager or a guy in his early 20s anymore. Even when he was doing Spider-Man 3, he was approaching his mid 30s. But for a guy who's in his mid 40s now, I mean, he looks good, but he looks after himself. And from what I understand, and I was having a talk with somebody who kind of has their ear to the ground in Hollywood, apparently we are getting the Amazing Spider-Man 3. But it looks like it's going to be a Netflix deal. Kind of disappointed with that. Kind of disappointed with that because I would have liked to have seen that in theaters. Because
Sorry.
even though Andrew got his redemption arc story, he still needs a third, cinematic solo cinematic outing because he's owed it. And it has to be said, for a guy who's, I think he just turned 41 this year, he still looks quite youthful. Might not get away with playing a teenager now, but you could get away with playing someone who's, I don't know, 25. Andrew, just remember this. Sharing is caring. Pass it around. Just saying.
I think the main reason why they might want to go down that route, MJ, is because a lot of superhero films this year, I hate to say it, but they have been major box office losses at the cinemas.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The only two I think of that have done reasonably well out of them were Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Across the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to my understanding, James Gunn has a lot more creative control with regards to how he was doing it. I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do for Superman because Gunn tends to like to use sort of profane fart jokes humor, and that wouldn't necessarily translate well for Superman. I mean, maybe have Supes being not necessarily profane, but maybe just being a little bit more dry-witted to where he's not trying to be like Deadpool, but he's not necessarily trying to be like your grandfather's superhero. There's kind of like that balance where it's a bit like Henry Cavill's version. It's modern, but it's respectful to the source material.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that because James Gunn, as profane as he can be in some of his films, he does take the source material quite seriously. So I'm thinking that we're gonna get like not a complete Big Blue Boy Scout, but we're not gonna get some profane version. We're not gonna get Homelander here. We're getting someone who is a nice balance of like he understands how the world works, but he's still gonna do the right thing and change the world how they perceive truth, justice, and the American way and all that. But I don't know. That's just my optimism there.
So, I might be a little bit out there. So it would be like if Marty McFly got the Superman powers.
To a degree, yeah.
It's like, I can fly. Oh, this is heavy. Marty, what the hell did you do?
Nothing.
Did you go back in time and get Superman's powers?
Maybe.
No. What if I went and got Superman's powers? Honey, no. You will not be allowed.
God help us, no.
Yeah, Sean's just said maybe it would be nice if we got a superhero other than Marvel or DC. Maybe they could try again with Spawn.
Yeah, provided he's still not tied to Blumhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh God. Don't remind that.
Thing is, they've been trying to make a new Spawn project for who knows how long.
Same goes for the
It's
Crow.
just that.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Trouble is, I think people are scared to even approach a new Crow project after what happened with the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
I mean, despite that tragedy, that film for me still holds up to this day on how
Yeah.
much tragic was, but there's always salvation.
Mm-hmm.
And to a degree, there's 1 to 2 of those sequels that was bad.
Yeah, and I think it's. I remember you saying this, Lids, because of what happened with the actor. I think his name's Matthew Madsen. Because he was the one who was holding the gun
Oh yeah, yeah.
where the safety wasn't on, and he was the one. Because as far as he was concerned, he was told it's okay, it's blanks, the safety's on, you got nothing to worry about. It goes off, and he's like, "What did I just do?" And
yeah, he was grief-stricken after that. He felt like it was his fault when it was an accident.
he's had to live with that.
Had to.
Oh.
passed
Had
away a
to.
few years
Oh.
later, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Because wasn't he also the one who played Jesse's adoptive father in the Free Willy franchise?
Think so?
Hmm.
I'd have to check that later.
Because I think he was also in Reservoir Dogs as well, wasn't he?
I think he was. Hold on, let me actually I'll Google that.
Because I think the Free Willy franchise was probably like one of the more family-friendly movies he did.
Bear with me.
Sure.
Wikipedia's not my friend right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Massey. Yeah, I believe that's his name. Yeah. So, okay, I'm trying to look at his credits. What? He was in Ultimate Avengers as Bruce Banner.
Yes, he was.
Hmm.
Wow.
Trying to look that. He was in 7, and no, he wasn't. And it doesn't look like he was in Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
I think you might be thinking of someone else.
Okay. Yeah. And from what I've been hearing, Aquaman 2 may not be the movie we think he'll be, and of course that'll be the last of the Snyderverse movies, and that's provided, of course, from what I've been hearing. I don't know if this is confirmed or just speculation, so do not treat this as gospel, but the word is Warner Brothers could be looking at bankruptcy.
Well, funny thing about that.
Here we go.
Part of it,
boy.
A part of it's sad, but another part of it is fair.
Yeah, fair.
Funny enough, anytime I come from work, Looney Tunes show comes on, and I know my history that I don't know what it is, but WB and Looney Tunes don't really get on the same page, especially how much they just put stuff out there, even though it's cult classics. That's really here and there, so. And maybe this is a lesson for not I don't know, getting rid of projects like Batgirl, Coyote versus Acme, and many more. So,
Somewhere in their subconscious margin, Lydia's waking up. I sense a disturbance in the stupid. Who mentioned Batgirl being cancelled? And you're like, go quiet.
Right, Mr. Zabzes. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
That's loud.
Oh,
Davy boy, we got some explaining to do.
be very quiet. I'm hunting for Davy boys.
All I gotta say is this: Karma's a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just hope Legendary and the Monsterverse gets bought up by another studio because I like what Legendary's doing with the Monsterverse.
Agreed.
Same.
And it's a similar.
That's one movie I'm looking forward to next year.
And it's a similar situation with Disney. I mean,
Oh,
Don't even get me
Oh,
started.
what he said. Oh man,
We've
you saw that video.
We've already-
Y'all saw that video of Patrick CC.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the only good news, Steamboat Willie's now in the public domain.
Yeah. Well, Rexy did warn people. Public domain's coming for you. I don't think we really noticed the change with Disney. Probably not until I want to say maybe between 2014 and 2016 is when we started noticing the changes because
Yeah.
because Avengers: Age of Ultron was fine. The first Wreck-It Ralph, that's a movie I still very fondly remember. The sequel, it has its moments, but yeah, that's where it just felt like things were changing and not necessarily for the better. Although I did enjoy the 2016 Jungle Book simply because it didn't do page for page what the original animated movie did. It actually did a swerve where Mowgli actually stays in the jungle because in the original one he goes to live in the man village. But I don't know what it is, but every Disney live action remakes of classics and the only Marvel movies I felt like didn't suffer what they're currently doing with some of the MCU movies. I thought Infinity War and Endgame were fine as, some of them had some slight issues with pacing a little, but with regards to quality of the writing, it was okay. It was more than watchable. But the only MCU movie I felt like was the most watchable after Endgame was No Way Home. Because Doctor Strange 2, I've heard a lot of things about that were not flattering, and the same thing could be said with Quantumania.
Ooh, I do not like
And
the way
that-
they. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
And the way they're having to do a back turn after things coming out.
I'm
all I'm
not. Sorry, go ahead.
All I'm gonna say is innocent until proven guilty because I've heard some things that doesn't
Same here.
really add up.
Yeah. And they did my girl Scarlet Witch dirty. No, you do not get to do that.
God.
No.
Yeah.
No, I did not like that one bit.
Yeah, they especially what she did to Troll's girlfriend.
No, ma'am. No.
Now the rest of them they kind of deserved it for being so haughty, but
Oh yeah, they got what they deserved. Charles was just trying to help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be like the weirdest thing if, just for the sake of discussion, they had like a there was like a crossover between Next Gen and the X-Men, and the two characters go, "Haven't I seen you somewhere before?" "I don't think so, Old Bean. But I do. But do you like a cup of Earl Grey?" "Oh, I'd very much like that." You know, just I tell you the one thing.
And honestly, for me, off topic, I think that's the one thing that I need for the MCU to get right is the X-Men, because for me, that's
Oh,
personally
Yeah.
my all-time
Mm.
favorite superhero team.
Yeah, same.
Funny
I mean,
you mention
technically,
that.
Mhm.
technically, we're kind of sort of getting it with Deadpool 3, so I'm just hoping everything goes well.
oh dear.
Mhm.
I've
What is it?
heard there's a lot of things behind the scenes, and Mr. Ryan Reynolds is not happy with the way Disney are interfering
Oh
again.
no.
Oh God, crap baskets.
Mm.
And
Oh, you say
considering
that
that's
too.
the only Marvel movie,
Yeah.
and that's the only Marvel movie that's going to be coming out next year because of all what's going on at the moment.
Thank you, SAG-AFTRA.
Not not counting what's happening with Sony because they've got three of their Sony Spider-Man universe projects coming
Ooh,
out.
I saw snippets of Oh God,
No, I am not watching
Yo,
that. I'm sorry. No.
touching that with a
they've
10-foot pole.
and they've also got Craven the Hunter and the third Venom movie.
I'm not touching Craven. Maybe Venom 3, but no.
Maybe Venom 3. Yeah, I'll probably check that one. I didn't see the sequel.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
The only thing I found with Venom 2, it could have been a little bit longer. I felt like it was a little bit short.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson, dude, you were pulling a Mark Hamill fuse with Jim Carrey. You were enjoying that way too much.
Yeah.
Point I do want to make in
Yeah.
Civil War and Endgame, I cannot believe they missed this opportunity to do that. No one ever said to both Stark and Strange, "No shit, Sherlock." That was a golden opportunity, and they blew it.
Literally, they were both Sherlock, man. Come on.
Right, it's too easy.
It's like, come on. It just like to see the reaction of them sort of look to the person who says it, then look to them, and then look back. It's like as if it's like a sort of a subtle wink to the audience, like, yeah, we know. Elementary, my dear doctor.
Probably because of whole licensing things and all that stuff, and
Probably.
language. Quote Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, you want to spend one swear word per movie? Thank you.
I was amazed that they were, dropping S-bomb on apparently the original retort from Stark to Thanos in Endgame wasn't "and I am Iron Man." It was "F you, Thanos."
Oh no, that would have ruined the moment, honestly.
But it was a full circle from the truth is I am Iron Man, and then just go "and I am Iron Man." Bang! You're gone. I still think, and this is just me just saying it like it is, the moment Tony Stark passed away and Steve Rogers retired, with the exception of Spidey, that's when the MCU ended. Because let's be honest, as good as Chris Hemsworth is, he's not the guy that you have carry the MCU on his shoulders, nor the way that they've got the Hulk written. I like Mark Ruffalo as an actor, but I preferred Edward Norton. Mainly because I felt like with Ruffalo, it's Tony Stark light. And to me, that's not Bruce Banner. To me, when I think Bruce Banner, I think of three actors. Ed Norton, as I just mentioned. I'm blanking on his name a minute.
Bill Bixby.
No, well, he would be. He'll be.
Eric Bana?
No. It's the one who voiced him in the '96 animated series. It's because he was also Dum Dum Dugan in Captain America 1.
Neil McDonough. I can't remember. Neil something. I can't remember his full name.
Hang on. Captain America, the First Avenger. Let me look real quickly. Neil McDonough.
Thank you. That's what it was. I was blanking.
Because Neil was just perfect as Banner, because you'd hear the pain in his voice, especially in part 1 of Return of the Beast, where he's fighting to stay in control of himself, even though he could taste, ridding himself of the Hulk. But the leader being the leader, no, the Hulk's power should be mine. So says the leader. And I don't know what it is, but the way Matt Frewer voiced him is just like, okay, dude, you're enjoying this way too much. And I don't know what it is, but Random and I always got a kick out of whenever he would go, yes. And I'm like, oh, good lord, have you been watching one of Goldust's promos? Like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And of course, as Ren says, Bill Bixby, because that to me, if you want to do a good, not necessarily perfect, but a good, consistent portrayal of Banner, Bixby is who you learn from. Because he would have the dry wit sense of humor and the ability to be able to try and go beyond his pain to help people, but even when he's helped somebody resolve their problems, he's still cursed. And that's why he stays lonely until he can find the means to either control his affliction or get rid of it. And that's just the thing as Banner. I don't think he'll ever find peace, because, well, if Banner's cured, then you don't really have a continuation of the Hulk, unless, of course, it's a situation like with the Totally Awesome Hulk, where the new protagonist takes all of the gamma radiation into him, and Bruce is cured, but at the same time he's sad because he knows what's awaiting the next guy, which is not fun for him. And I'm not at all surprised if the rumors are true that Marvel are looking to bring back RDJ, Chris Evans, and maybe Scarlett Johansson, although the way
Oh
things...
no, they did her dirty. She's
No,
not
I
coming
don't
back.
think-
She's
I
not
don't
coming
think
back.
But unless it's like her sister from the...
Yeah.
and she takes up the mantle of Black Widow, so maybe. Because...
She technically already has.
So that'd be an interesting way to play it, because... Let's be honest, whatever, and we've said this before, with every Avengers sequel that came out, you were waiting to see Iron Man, Cap, Thor, Hulk, and Black Widow, and various other new members that they would add on. And of course, by the time it gets to Endgame, there are many, 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 many Avengers. Although the the fan-edited movie that I saw someone did, which ended up being something like 50 minutes long. I don't know how this guy managed to do this. He brought in not just the Avengers, but he brought in Christopher Reeve's Superman, Henry Cavill's Superman, Val Kilmer's Superman, Adam West's Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman. He brings in Sean Connery's James Bond. He brings in Indiana Jones. He brought in the 1990 Ninja Turtles as well. And I'm like, it's one of those, you have to see it to believe it. And he even brings in Luke Skywalker from the original trilogy. along with Obi-Wan, to where Batman is reenacting the Death Star scene. Was it this? Was it episode 4 or 5 where they blow up the Death Star?
It was 4 and
They did
6.
it in. Yeah, they had 2 Death Stars.
So it would have been possibly number 4. They had Keaton's Batman in the Batwing, and this guy masterfully edited the Batwing, reenacting the Death Egg, almost said the Death Egg. Well, let's call it what it is. The Death Egg basically is just a rip off of the Death Star, reenacting Luke Skywalker's run like that, and even with Obi-Wan like in Batman's ear, and it's one of those watch it for yourself, then say how you feel afterwards. And there's even a nice little piece tacked on with Stan Lee afterwards, where he's the one that makes the snap, which I thought.
Yeah, I vaguely remember watching that.
And I thought that's a nice touch. It's just a shame that Stan, was it 2018 or 2019?
Yeah, it was 28. It was 2018 because Into the Spider-Verse had a quote from him to honor his memory.
He is one of those. You're never gonna get another like him. Not in this lifetime, anyway. He was something special. And I don't know what it is, but you look at him in the 90s, and then look at him in his last few years. He hardly aged.
Yeah.
But nah, I mean, I remember even Mike Chiklis saying in the making of the original Fantastic Four, it's like, I don't think of him as a guy in the 80s. I just think of him as my buddy to goof off with, because he has such a good sense of humor and just this sense of spirited fun about him. He did it all, and it's sad that he's gone, but I'm thankful, for him just being on this earth, And it's a selfish thing to say, I'm thankful for what he gave, but sometimes it's just, means it just a little bit more to say you're thankful that he was there. Yeah. Right. Unless anybody has got anything else to bring to the table, I think we'll probably draw this season finale to a close. At this point in time, folks, we probably won't be coming back on the air until Sunday, February 4. And that gives us all ample time to, let our hair down. And of course, that kind of goes double with me, because I've kind of got a, I don't want to say a mullet situation, but the hair has grown a little bit longer. But when you're, in the cost of living situation that we're in, you tend to be a little bit more objective with how you spend your budget, because, well, it's £10 to get a haircut, but I also need to buy bread, milk, bathroom supplies, and what have you. So it's like, which one's more important?
Or do what I do and just do it yourself.
I could, but I'd end up making it worse rather than making it better. I tried cutting my hair once before, and my mom sent me straight to the barber's, like, get it done properly. I'm like, and then she gives me the Batman. So like, okay, I'm going. I love my mom. Don't get me wrong, but when she would get into, how do I word this in a way that's appropriately discreet, but also accurate. When she got into that mindset, you didn't argue with her. It's just like, okay, I'm going. It'd be like Oni with lids. Oh, I don't want to do this. Do it now. Okay. Yes, yes, Madam President. I'll do exactly what you say. Yes, you will. And there's Liz at the back of my mind. Good lord, dude, don't give me ideas. And there's Raiden going like, yeah, I'm taking notes. Taking notes right now. He's taking notes of what not to do on a car ride with Elman and Oni later in life. Like, oh, don't!
No, no,
Lord.
no.
Don't worry, I picked out the traveling music. And there's Raiden getting like a bottle of chloroform. Raiden, don't use it. Oh no, that's not for Oni, that's for me. I'll see you in about 5 hours. Oh, don't worry, we're gonna have singing. You're gonna have karaoke sessions with me as the lead. And Oni's like, Kip, we're calling an Uber. Why is that? It's just because I'm not driving in a car with him doing karaoke.
Get a cab. We're not dealing with this.
Oh, but I'm gonna sing about my serenading a Heath Slater. We're all getting out. Was it something I said? All right. And on that long tangent, probably irreverent references that people just fly over people's heads, I think that's where we'll call it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sean's just said, remember to lock your doors because Robot Santa is coming since you all have been naughty.
Oh no.
Oh God.
I'm Zoidberg. I'm gonna get the pogo stick.
Oh dear.
Watch that episode while I actually watched that episode while I left for work.
Hooray.
So, thank you for tuning in to what has been the Baker's Dozen season finale. It's not been as many episodes this season, but as it's been over documented, this year's summer went on far longer and far hotter than we were expecting in the UK, and particularly with the way my apartment is, because it's so insulated, with the way the windows are, and the fact I have to keep the windows closed just so that there's no background noise of cars going by and whatever other noises are going on. It's very distracting. But also, if I have the window shut, it means I've got to stay hydrated to a certain point, and that becomes distracting as well. So that's why we didn't come back until like very late September this year, which Steve can attest to, because southwest of the UK, it was beyond intolerable with regards to the humidity.
And that's going to be a thing I feel going forward from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Although winter did actually feel like winter a week ago, because it was actually getting into the minus temperatures over here, which were like, okay, this is unheard of. This is winter actually being winter. But then, literally 3 to 4 days ago, open pore, be itself once more. Okay, it's being mild again. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud, make your mind up. You do more flip-flopping than Vince McMahon rewrites. Not sorry. And I would like to state, one of my predictions appears to be coming true. Royal Rumble 27, Randy Orton challenging Roman Reigns for the undisputed title.
That does not surprise me. He's still gonna lose, but that does not surprise me.
And word is from, I think this was from WrestleCamp's Twitter page, if Roman is still champion by September next year, he will equal Hulk Hogan's longest reign as champion. I think at that point it's like, please take the belt off of him at Mania, because we're done. Look, I'm glad that he's got his definitive time as champion, because the first couple of times, yeah, he was cheated out of it creatively. We thought he was going to win at Mania 31. Rollins cashes in whilst the match is going on, which for Money in the Bank cash-ins, that's a first, because normally you wait till the champion's downed and out, but whilst the match is actually going on, we didn't think you could do that, but he did. With his first Universal title, that was a blow to the system because he had to relinquish it due to medical reasons because unfortunately his cancer resurfaced, which, speaking as a human being, I'm glad he got it, put back into remission because, whatever your feelings are for Roman the character, the person who portrays him, you don't want anyone to suffer with cancer, friend, foe, or otherwise, because it's not something to be sniffed at. But creatively as a character, the fact that he's been champion 3 years now, it's just become insufferable. And
it's literally it's time to stop.
yeah. And also, people will go and say, well, he's had it longer than CM Punk did as champion years ago. That may be. But CM Punk defended his belt more than Roman has done. Because in the last 3 years, Roman's defended it maybe somewhere up to 50 times. Punk, in his 434 days as champion, defended it 151 times. Now, I know there's the truth and then there's the show, but people are not always going to remember the real life situations that go into it. And I know Roman has issues with his medication, which is one of the reasons why we don't see him so often, but they don't bring that into the stories because from the story's perspective, they see someone who chastised Lesnar for only showing up when he wants to, and now he's guilty of doing the same thing. So, if it is going to be Mania 40, he has to drop the belt, then make him drop it, and then, either he goes away for a good while or he retires, because where do you go after being champion for 3.5 years? I mean, in this day and age, you can't really top that. Well, we shall see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And on that note, we're going to go raid the little lemon bun because Daisy's not online at the moment, and the other night she was trying out live coloring whilst doing ASMR, which, considering the adorable voice that she's got with a little bit of, New York moxie, because that's what her accent sounds like, it's adorable. Plus, she's one of the very few streamers that responds quicker to people on social media than some others would that I've seen. I know with Shark, she doesn't always get back to you straight away, but she will get back to you. Whereas with Daisy, she almost seems to respond within hours after I leave a comment. So, she loves and respects her audience, so that's always cool. Additionally, I actually got a response from Natalie Rial, who voices Nazuna in Call of the Night, because apparently there's this new RPG game that's coming out called something like Exceeds Gates of 3, something to that effect. I don't know. And she says, well, she's locking herself in her room all week for that. And I said something to the effect of, wouldn't it be cool if you could get a Call of the Night game, which she responded to. So oh, sweet. Anyway, I'm rambling again as ever. So from the season finale, thank you very much to the architect of slandering, the Cyber Raiden.
Always happy to bring what I got to the table.
The figure of dignity in the Jedi Master that is Sir Stephen.
Hello?
Hmm?
Hello?
That's your cue to say something, Steve.
Oh, right. Sorry. Headphone troubles again.
Right.
Season's greetings, everybody, and hope to see you all in 2024.
And finally, the pillar of the community, the lady of classy sass, Madam President herself, Kitsune Rakaku, which she is also streaming from her Twitch at twitch.tv/Kitsune Rakaku. Make sure to give her 15 subscriptions and 5,000 bits, along with $3 donations 5 times. She's like, this is getting oddly specific each time, dude. What the hell?
I appreciate that, and whether you can give subs or bits, that's you don't have to. It's not an obligation. Just if you want to come by to have fun, because I'm currently playing the DLC of the Indigo disc for Pokemon. So let's see if I can finish that before the end of the year. If not, that's gonna be something that's rolling into next year. So yeah.
Join her for more Pokemon adventures. And no, we
Not the
don't mean the
comic.
manga with the zombies tied up.
No.
Oh no. And also, Herbo, the first gentleman, of Presidential Rakaku's estate. Twitch.tv/Onirakaku. Make sure you give him something like 159 bits and only 10 subs and maybe $2 donations. MJ, why do I have less? You're the first man. The Lady of Awesome is your Madam President, therefore she gets more. And also, remember, she has special psychic political powers that she can make you do whatever she wants. Oh, no shit. I will behave and tidy up the apartment appropriately. Yes, you will.
Also, he'll do if you have 5 gifted subs, he'll play any game of your choice depending on the availability on the consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as I mentioned, also give a possible follow and also your choice of subscription to Blondays, also known as Daisy, at twitch.tv/Blondays, because she's just adorable. Like I say, we would be raiding her, but we're gonna raid the little lemon bun because she's equally adorable. So, thank you very much for season 13 of Sunday Night Live. We will see you in 2024 for season 14. Hard to think we've outlasted RDR. Yeah, but imagine Oni doing RDR today. What the hell? Punk's back! No! I heard him at the tail end of your pod.
Oh no! I was just as mad though. I was just as angry. I'm like, I'm not gonna hear the end of it from the fanboys. No, I cannot do this right now.
Could have been worse. You could have right at the same time you hear dead. Like,
no, we are not doing this again. No.
Merry Christmas, season's greetings, and have a great holiday season, and we'll see you in 2024.
Feliz Navidad, everybody. Or
Bye.
those who celebrate.
Also, happy Kwanzaa.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm not Jewish, but happy Hanukkah.
Hey, how did I not see that before? Is it a public health violation? Hello? Well, it's not like I'm going up and licking one. Oh, no, thank you for the